Hello, my name is Justin Poole. I'm the artist in residence at Asbury United Methodist, and I'm also a certified yoga instructor. So tonight we're going to do easy to moderate level class. I'll give you some modifications if you're new to yoga. You can always take it a little bit further. You can pull a little bit back, and I'll be coaching you through that as we go through tonight. I want to begin with a little centering, what I refer to as centering here. Something to help us keep in mind, something to help us get in the right mood for doing yoga tonight. So I'm going to refer to meditation from Richard Rohr's Center for Action and Contemplation. He sends out a daily meditation online, and he's a Franciscan author, and he has a lot of really interesting things to say. In particular, today he wrote about incarnational theology, and I just want to read just a little bit about this, or an incarnational frame of mind. He talks about, here he goes, incarnational worldview, which is the profound recognition of the presence of the divine in literally everything and everyone. It is the key to mental and spiritual health, as well as a kind of basic contentment and happiness. An incarnational worldview is the only way we can reconcile our inner worlds with the outer one, unity with diversity, physical and spiritual, individual with corporate, and divine with human. Of course, when you refer to the doctrine of the incarnation, you're talking about the concept that in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. The idea that Jesus is the Word of God, and he made his dwelling among us. He took on human form. And part of this incarnational worldview, according to Richard Rohr, is seeing that all of us have this internal sense of we have God's DNA essentially implanted in all of us. We are created in the image of God. And it's important for us, in light of that, to see our bodies, our minds, our souls as an integrated whole, and see our body as fundamentally important. And that's one of the reasons why we do yoga, to cultivate that connection between our mind, our body, our soul, and also to cultivate a connection with the world around us. So I'm going to ask you all to go to your mat if you have a mat handy. And if you don't have a mat handy, then it's totally fine. And I'm going to ask you to come to a tabletop position somewhere on your mat. And bring your knees so that they're about 2 fists apart from each other in tabletop position here. And your hands are planted down firmly on the ground, again, about 2 fists apart from each other. And you're going to take yourself through a few cat and cows. So cat is where you arch your back, kind of like a Halloween cat. And you look down. And then cow, arch your back in the opposite direction, kind of like a hammock. And you bring your gaze up. So the base of your spine goes up and your gaze goes up in cow. Base of your spine goes down towards the ground. Your gaze goes down and your back goes up in cat. Take yourself through a few cat and cows. Maybe inhale in cow, exhale in cat. And then you're going to do what I call scraping the barrel here. You're going to pretend you're on the inside of the barrel, and you're going to move to the right and then up, and to the left and down. So you're kind of going through cat and cow as you're moving your hips from one side to the other side. Like you're on the inside of a barrel and you're scraping the top barrel with your back, and you're scraping the bottom of the barrel with your belly. You're scraping the right and the left with the right and left side of the torso as you go around in circles. Just awaken your spine. Start to marry the movement to the breath. And then you're going to come back, you're going to sit back down towards your heels into a child's pose. And you're going to work your fingertips forward. From child's pose, you're going to come forward now onto your belly. And we're going to go and do a locust pose. A locust pose is really good for posture. So you're going to put your palm into the ground here, the tops of your feet into the ground, and bring your chin into the ground as well. And then you're going to gradually peel your chest, your arms, and your legs off the ground and bring your shoulders back and down. So your belly, your pelvis are pushed into the ground. Everything else is up off the ground. This is good for your posture, good for the general health of your spine. And then slowly come on down out of that, rest on one cheek or the other. Then you're going to come up one more time into a locust pose. If you want to hang out in locust alone, that's fine. If you want to come back down after you've had enough of locust and just rest, that's fine too. Or if you want to take it to another level, you can move your arms forward, fingertips pointing out in front of you, and then feet pointing behind you. And really lift up high here. And then slowly come out of locust or that Superman pose that we were just doing. And rest on one cheek or the other. And then again, you can come back on up into locust pose. If you want to hang out here alone, that's fine. If you want to go into Superman pose, go for that. And if you want to reach back and take it to another level, reach back and grab your ankles with your hands. You can come on up into a bow. So you're pulling your body off the ground. Your belly is pushed into the ground. And as you come up higher, bringing your what is it called, those heels, your heels towards your bottom here. Then you're going to come up even higher in that pose, doing a bit of a back bend here. And then slowly come out of that pose, whether it's bow, whether it's locust, Superman, and just kind of hang out down here on your belly. On one side of the face or the other, lying the ground. Bring your hands so they're about at chest level. And then push the ground away and come back down into a child's pose. Bring your bottom back down towards your heels. And then stretch your fingertips forward. Really lengthen your spine here in child's pose. Then you're going to bring your fingertips to the left side. And then bring your right hip down so you feel a stretch through the right side of your body. Bring your fingertips over to the right side. Bring your left side, your left hip down, and feel a stretch through the left side of your body. Come back into a traditional child's pose. Stretch your fingertips out in front of you. And then start to come forward. And as you come forward, bring your chest and your chin down. Your bottom goes up a little bit. And then bring your pelvis down towards the ground. And then arch your back into a little baby cobra right here. So push the ground away with your feet. So you're plugging your feet into the ground, plugging your legs into the ground. and you're pushing the ground away with your hands. And look forward and up. What happens if you then bring your hands up off the ground and you try to do more of a back bend here? So there's more emphasis on your back muscles here, bringing your chest up, and less emphasis on pushing the ground away with your hands. Slowly come down out of that pose. Again, rest on one side of the face or the other. And now we're going to do a medium-sized cobra here. So you're going to bring your hands back down into the ground, and you're going to push the ground away with your hands. You're going to bring your chest up a little higher. But again, keep your back active and engaged here. Look up. Slowly come down out of that. And then if you want to stay in that mid-size cobra, that's cool. If you want to go up a little bit higher, again, you can push the ground away, come on up into a really high cobra here. Pelvis is in the ground here, tops of your feet in the ground, hands in the ground, looking up. Cobra pose. Slowly come back down out of that. Rest on one side of the face or the other. There's another variation we can do on this. It's called up dog pose, and that is where you push the tops of your feet into the ground and you come on up so that your pelvis is kind of up off of the ground, maybe about a half an inch or so. And it's a deeper back bend. It's a little bit more of a challenging pose. And make sure that your shoulders are down, not up at your ears. That's up dog. And then come down into a downward facing dog pose from there. So in downward facing dog, you want to bring the balls of your feet into the ground. You want to push the ground. You want to push your hands into the ground. And then you're going to bend your knees a little bit to start maybe. And then if you feel like you want to, if you feel like you can, after you've lengthened through your spine here by bringing your bottom up and back, you can start to lengthen your legs as well. So start to unbend your knees and start to bring your heels down into the ground. And you feel a stretch through the back of your legs as well as through your back. If you find your back rounding a little bit here, then again, you can bend those knees and really stick your butt up and back and try to create more length in your spine. Those are both valid ways of approaching downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, you're going to now bring your knees into the ground and then your chin and chest into the ground. And then you're going to come back up into an up dog or cobra. And then downward facing dog again. So notice how my hands are roughly staying in the same place as I go from downward facing dog, again, down into cobra or up dog, and then back down into downward facing dog. We're going to flow through, so these are going to be poses that are comfortable for you by the end of the class. So you're going to now take your left leg and you're going to shoot that left leg forward in between your hands. And you're going to bring the right leg down. So right knee goes down, top of right foot goes into the ground, and you're going to come on up into a low lunge here. Bend your back, look up. Bring your hands down and forward. Bring that back foot to meet your front foot. Halfway lift, so your spine is parallel with the floor. Forward fold. And come all the way up. Swan dive back down. Bring your chest down to the ground. Step those feet back. Come on down. And then back into up dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. Send that right foot forward in between those hands. Bring the back foot, so the top of the back foot is down. Come on up into a low lunge here. Bring your hands down to the ground. Bring your back foot to meet your front. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Come all the way up. And swan dive back down. Step your legs back and come into a high plank pose. Slowly lower down. Come into an up dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. Bring your left leg all the way up and pretend that you're, with your left heel, you're pushing into an imaginary hand which wants to push that heel down. So you're pushing up into an imaginary hand. So you have resistance here and you want to bring it higher. And then bring that left leg forward in between your hands. And then come on up into a high lunge. So a high lunge here, if you want more of a challenge, you can work your feet, your front foot forward just a little bit, work your left foot forward a little bit. You can really deepen that lunge. If you want less of a challenge, you can back off a little bit, make that stance a little bit less wide, a little more narrow. And then reach up and back bend here in high lunge. Bring your hands back down, step that front foot back, flow through, either bring your knees, chest and chin down and then come into up dog or cobra, or you can go into a high plank pose and lower down into up dog or cobra and then downward dog. Bring your right leg all the way up and back, three-legged dog. Shoot that right foot forward in between your hands. Come on up into a high lunge. Bring your hands back down, flow through into up dog or cobra, downward facing dog. Step your left leg all the way up, three-legged dog. Shoot that left leg forward, come back into a high lunge again on the opposite side, what we just did. From here, you can really stay in your high lunge or bring your hands to heart center in prayer pose, and you can do a high lunge twist. If you're in a twist, come out of that twist. And come on down, flow through. Up dog or cobra, downward facing dog. Extend your right leg up and back, three-legged dog. Shoot that right leg forward. High lunge, opposite side. Bring your hands to heart center or just hang out in high lunge. Twist. Untwist if you're in a twist. And then flow through. Lower down. Up dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. As we meet in downward facing dog, you can bicycle back and forth by bending your left knee, feel a stretch to the right side of your body. Bend your right knee, feel a stretch through your left torso. Now bend your legs and you're going to hop forward about a foot or so, bring your legs together and sit back in an imaginary chair. So you should still see your toes, so your knees aren't going past your toes. And bring your arms up and really send that power out through your fingers. And come on all the way up. Step your feet apart about 2 fists. Bring your shoulders back and down. Palms facing forward. If you're just joining us, welcome. If you can turn off your microphones and we can check in at the end, that would be great. And in mountain pose. In mountain pose, you're going to gradually move over to your left side. And you're going to bring your right leg up. And you're balancing then on your left foot. And bring your right foot so it's either above your knee or below your knee. Both are totally acceptable variations on tree. And you're going to grow those tree branches up high towards the ceiling. Easier to do these balancing poses on a hard surface as opposed to a carpet. And then slowly come out of that pose. And then bring your weights to the right side and then lift up your left leg. And bring that left foot either above or below your knee. And then grow those arms and those fingertips up. Helps if you fixate on a point somewhere in the room that's stable. It stabilizes you a little bit. And then slowly come out of that pose, slowly, as controlled as you can. And just stand here in mountain pose for a moment. Bring your shoulders back and down, plug your feet into the ground, and stretch up as though there's a puppeteer in the sky, and the puppeteer is going to lift a string at the top of your skull, and you're going to find your skull growing up like it's a balloon on the top of your spine, growing taller. Bring your hands together above your head, clasp your hands and point your pointer fingers here. And then grow up even taller, and then bring your fingertips over to the right-hand side and your left hip to the left, just ever so slightly. Come out of that by stretching all the way up, grow taller, and then bring your right hip to the right side and your fingertips to the left. Grow back up and tall and bend your back and bring your gaze up higher towards the ceiling. And then swan dive down and step or jump back, come into a high plank pose. Lower down on 3, 2, 1. Up dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. Extend your left leg up and back, 3-legged dog. And shoot that left leg forward in between, so the left foot is in between your hands. And then pivot your back foot. So the back side, the outer side of your back foot is parallel with the back of your mat if you have a mat. So it's going like this. Toes are pointing to the right side here. And you're bending your front knee and come on into warrior 2. Fingertips pointing away from each other. Left fingertips pointing towards the front, right fingertips pointing towards the back. Now, if you want a deeper stretch, you can move a more intense pose. You can move those front toes a little bit more forward. If you want to back off a little bit, you can move those front toes a little bit more to the back. Bring your foot palm up. And then reverse your warrior here. And then bring your left arm down and then your right arm up. So you're forming a diagonal line between the outside of your right foot and your right fingertips. So there's a diagonal line going all the way up your body here, and then shooting out those right fingertips. And bring your gaze up towards those right fingertips. Extended side angle. Come out of that, back into warrior two. Cartwheel your hands down, and then bring your left foot outside of the mat by about an inch or so. So you bring your left foot a little bit further away from your hands, pushing your hands into the ground here, coming into lizard pose here. So you feel a stretch in the inner part of your upper left leg here. If you want an even deeper stretch, you can bring your forearms down into the ground here. And then slowly come out of that pose. Push the ground away with your hands, bring the ball of your right foot into the ground, and then lift up that left leg and circle that left leg around just a little bit. Bend your left knee, open up your hips to the left side of the room, and then bring your left toes to your left wrist. Bring your back foot at a 45-degree angle with the back of the mat. Come on up into a warrior one. So your hips are coming a little bit more forward. Not fully squared with the front of the room, but maybe at a little bit of an angle here. And from there, bring your hands down. Bring the ball of your right foot back down into the ground. Bring your left foot to meet your right foot, and then flow through up dog or cobra and downward facing dog. Hang out and downward facing dog a little bit, maybe bicycle it out a little bit, bend your right knee, feel the stretch to your left side. Bend your left knee, feel the stretch to your right side. Back and forth a little bit here. Extend your right leg all the way up and back. Three-legged dog. Send that right foot forward in between your hands and pivot your back foot. Come into warrior two on the opposite side. Shoot the energy out through your fingertips here. Grow tall through your spine, even as you sink deeper into that pose with your legs. Really engage your arms, your fingertips here. Look forward towards your right fingertips. Reverse your warrior. Gaze goes up. Right fingertips point up and then back. Extended side angle, bring your right forearm down, rest it at the top of your upper right leg. Feel a diagonal line between the outside of your back foot, all the way up your body, all the way out through your left fingertips. Come back into warrior two. Cartwheel your hands down, bring your right foot outside of the mat a little bit. The top of your left foot is down in the ground here. Lizard pose. You can bring your forearms down to the ground if you want a deeper stretch here. Just feel the stretch in the upper part of your, inner part of your upper right leg rather. Your back toes are pointing back behind you, directly behind you. So your left toes are pointing behind you. Your left, top of your left foot is in the ground. Left shin, left knee in the ground. Slowly come out of that, bring your hands down to the ground, and then bring the ball of your left foot into the ground, and then extend your right leg up and back and circle it around a few times. Bend your right knee, open up your hips to the right side of the room, really open up. And then bring your right toes to your right wrist. Back foot at a 45-degree angle with the back of the mat. Come on up into warrior one. Bring your hands down, step your front foot back, flow through, lower down, up dog or cobra, downward facing dog. We're going to do one more chair pose here. So you're going to bend your knees. You're going to step or jump forward about a foot or so. You're going to bring your legs together, your feet together, and you're going to sit back into an imaginary chair. Bring your fingertips back and behind you. Bring your chest up, power chair. Come all the way up. And bring your feet about 2 fists apart. Bring your shoulders back and down. Open up your palms to the front of the room. Grow nice and long and tall for your spine. Mountain pose. Extend your hands all the way up. Swan dive down. Bring your chest down to the ground. Step back. Flow through one last time. Up dog or cobra. Downward facing dog, and bend your knees and maybe jump forward and then come back on to your bottom here. I'm going to reorient myself. From here, you're going to slowly lower yourself down to the ground. We'll do a few cool down poses here. Again, I promised you kind of an easy practice today. And some of you, this might be more moderate, and that's cool too. Adjust it to however you feel right now in your body, what feels good. Push it to your edge, but not beyond. So your feet are pressed in the ground here. Your knees are pointing up towards the ceiling. And bring your feet together just a little bit here. And then bring your knees to your chest. And then just going to roll your legs around a little bit here. Bring your knees to the left side of the room. Bring your gaze and your fingertips to the right side of the room. And if you want a deeper supine twist here, what you can do is you can use your left hand and you can use your left hand to bring your right leg down a little bit closer to that left leg and bring your gaze again to your right fingertips here. And then switch over to the opposite side. Bring your knees to the right. Bring your fingertips and your gaze to the left. And again, if you want a deeper stretch here, you can use your right hand to bring your left leg down a little bit closer to that right leg. Come out of that pose, again, bring your feet down to the ground, knees go up. And from here, we're going to go into a bridge pose. So you're going to push the ground away with your feet, bring your pelvis up, and resting your weight here on your feet and also on your upper back. You're then going to work your arms underneath you here. Bring your shoulder blades closer together. Clasp your hands at the base of your spine here. And then lift your pelvis up even higher in bridge. Slowly come out of bridge pose. Bring your knees back to your chest and then just circle those legs around a little bit. do a counter pose after that. That's what we're doing here. We roll back and forth a little bit. And then if you want to go back into bridge pose again, feel free to go back into bridge pose. If you want to do another supine twist, go ahead and do that. And then go back into a bridge pose. And come out of that, and again, bring your knees to your chest. And then round your spine a little bit here. You're just gonna rock back and forth a little bit. Now, if you're in a carpet or really padded mat, this might feel really comfortable. If you're on a hardwood floor, maybe not so much. So the balancing poses might work better on a hardwood floor, but this works better on the carpet. You just go back and forth a few times. They say this is really good for your spine. I love doing this. It's fun, it's freeing. And then slowly lower on down and make your way into Shavasana, which is corpse pose for the end of our practice today. So you're lying down on the ground, relaxing your muscles. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, or any variation that's comfortable for you. Now I like to pretend that I'm lying on a warm sandy beach somewhere very comfortable outside in a nice grassy meadow. And each time I exhale, I allow one more muscle group to sink deeper into the ground beneath me. Maybe scan your body and envision in your mind's eye your feet. And the next exhalation, sink your feet into the ground. And the next exhalation, sink your calf muscles into the ground. And work your way all the way up your body until you get to your skull, relaxing a new muscle group each time you exhale. Again, we began this practice by talking about the doctrine of the incarnation. Imagine how you are created in the image of God. Every part of you is unique and important. As Paul says, we are God's temple. So therefore, it's important for us to pay attention to our bodies, our physical lives, just as we do to our intellectual, spiritual lives. Maybe in the end, they're not so separate, or maybe they're not separate at all. And wherever you are, slowly start to stretch your fingertips away from your legs, away from your feet. Maybe start to move a little bit to one side or the other. And gradually make your way to a seated position. And we'll end our practice by bringing our hands to heart center. And thank you all for joining me tonight. Feel free to invite friends. We do this every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. We'll do it through June. And if there's enough of a following, if people are still interested, we can keep on going beyond that. Thank you all for joining me.